Hey, this lesson, we are going to be looking at how we can apply logic. So using the if condition, so checking to see if a value is greater than 1,000. And if it is, then we're going to return back pro, otherwise beginner. For the bonus, we're going to create a random value between 0 and 4,000, adding that to the initial points plus the bonus points. And then we're going to set either pro or beginner, and then using the or to check if either one of them are pro. If they are, then it's going to come back true as this is a pro, and also showing you how you can use and, where it's going to be checking to see if either one of the values from C and E are going to be pro, and if it is, then they both have to be true in order for and to come back true. So if one of them is not true, then it's going to come back as false. Let's set up some logical values. So if you've got some points here, and this is going to be the player information, and this is going to be the level that the player is at. So we've got adding in just some random values here, and then we can calculate out the different points and the levels that the player is going to be currently at. So the player, and these can just all be different players. Just going to randomly generate them here using the player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's set up and select the level. And the level we can do as a condition. So depending on what the value is of A, we can check to see if it's larger than a certain amount. And if it is, then we can set it up as a player. So using the if, and it's going to return back a value. So depending on if A2 is larger than 1,000, and if it is, then the result is going to be that it's pro. Otherwise, the player is going to be beginner. And let's populate all of that information. We can also have a bonus value, and this can be a random value. If you use rand, then this is going to select a value from 0 to 1 inclusive. If we use rand between, this is going to give us a random value between two values. So let's start at 0 and have a random value of 1,000. And so these are just generating the random values. Let's do level plus bonus. So we use the same values here, but we're going to be using the value from D2 plus A2, and we have to put the parentheses around that. So with the bonuses, doesn't look like any of them change. Let's set this to random 10,000, and that puts them all pretty much within the pro level. Let's scale that back a little bit to random 4,000. So with the bonus value, where we're setting a random value, that's going to be updating. So let's check to see if both of them are the same. So do an or, where we check to see if both have a value of pro. So we're looking at the value of C2, and we're checking to see if the value there is C2. And the other one that we want to compare is E2, and check to see if that has a value of pro. And if they both have pro, then that's going to come back as true. If they have something different, then they're going to come back. If neither one of them is pro, then it's going to come back as false. So this is or. You can also do an and. So an and there, they both have to have that same value. So instead of the or, let's update this to and. And we need to update this because it updated the value. So this has to be using the C2. And we can set this as a static value. So we can use the dollar signs in order to indicate that this is a static value that we don't want to change as we drag it. So this would be E and then $2 to see if it's pro. So that comes back as that. If we drag it down, then it's not going to actually update those values. But if we do want them to update the values, we can remove out the dollar signs from the row values. So we do want the rows to change and increment. So if both of them are pros, then it's going to result in a true. If we're using ORs. So if any one of them is a pro, then that's going to come back as true. And they both have to be true in order for a true result. Otherwise, the result is going to be false. So those are some of the logical functions that you can add into your spreadsheet.